right now, giving him the edge at MVP.
MVP on this game you can't touch.
That player is also the best player.
Aaron Rodgers just earned his third MVP award last season, becoming just the sixth player in NFL history to win the award 3 times. But the young guns are making a push in the NFL. Of the last 3 MVP winners, 2 have been on rookie contracts in Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Our own Bill Barnwell released an MVP article today, breaking down potential candidates to win the award this season. Included in his breakdown is a list of quarterbacks on rookie deals that could win the prestigious award. Here's a look at his 13 candidates from the group, which includes the likes of Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, plus Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. Barnwell's favorite from this group, though, is Kyler Murray. That begs the question, who do we see making the leap from this group as we get to quick reads? Who could be the player on a rookie contract that enters the MVP conversation this season? Dan, we'll start with you. Who do you got?
I'm going with the big hammer, Josh Allen from Buffalo Field. Everyone continues to point to last year and his big jump. Go back to 2 years ago in his last 29 starts. That's last year, 2020 season, and 19. Josh Allen has thrown for 59 touchdowns and 13 picks and completed almost 70% of his passes. It wasn't just last year. It's his last 30 games. He's been one of the best players in the league.
Man, ain't nobody actually follow them damn stats. I'm talking about Kyler Murray, the excitement, the juice. Look, when he got injured last year, it looked like he lost a little bit. But in order for this team, the Arizona Cardinals, to win this division, Kyler Murray is going to have to play at an MVP level. And why wouldn't he? With all of the weapons that's around him, D-Hop, you go out and get AJ and Fitz coming back, Kyler Murray will be in that conversation at the end.
Well, Swagoo, I could talk about stats with Justin Herbert, but I'm not going to. I believe that this guy is going to take a massive step forward despite the stats that he put. I just believe in the player himself and what he's been able to do. I remember being at the Tampa game last year when Herbert went head-to-head with Brady and looked like an absolute stud out there. And I was fully convinced from that moment on that this guy has what it takes to not only be a star in the NFL, but a budding MVP.
Yeah, and a much better offensive line this year for Herbert. So the Rams, the other LA team, hope they may have an MVP candidate, which they acquired this offseason as the team made a splash trade for longtime Lions star Matthew Stafford. Amongst the fans of the acquisition was Kyle Shanahan, who will now face Stafford twice a season, and broke down the acquisition on the Flying Coach podcast.
What did you think when you saw that we traded for Stafford?
You don't want to get me started, dude. That was frustrating. Yeah, he's better than I had realized. I mean, he was the man, and he's actually underrated to me. So I know how good of a guy he got. I know how good he is at play action. I know how smart he is. Not only does he just have a big arm, but he's got touch, and he knows where to go with the ball.
Hey, Dan, the interviewer in that podcast you just heard is Rams head coach and burgeoning media star Sean McVay. Obviously, he was influential in bringing Stafford in. It's a simple question in LA right now. Who is under more pressure, head coach Sean McVay or quarterback Matthew Stafford?
I think it's Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is under the most pressure out of any quarterback in the NFL. The great thing about this situation is Matthew Stafford eats pressure. Just ask all the teams he's played against with fourth quarter leads in the last 10 years. No quarterback in the NFL has got more fourth quarter comebacks over the last decade in the NFL than Matthew Stafford. I think the second place guy is like 5. You're talking about a guy that's like, okay, bring the pressure, bring the moment to me. And the great thing about it for me, Field, is like everybody in the country that is a football fan is going to realize what players that played against Matthew know, that he's unbelievable, and that players that played with Matthew know that he's unbelievable, and then the guy is going to relish this moment. And I would say this when it comes to the football team. There has not been a quarterback that has been, at least to Matthew Stafford's talent level, to play in this style of scheme offensively since John Elway did with the Broncos. This scheme, this Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak scheme often elevates players quarterback-wise, good to really good, really good to great, great to special. Matthew Stafford's the most talented that will play in this scheme since John Elway. He's got a ton of pressure to go and perform at a high level.
See, I guess it's all about how we define pressure too, because like, to me, pressure is about expectations, and I don't necessarily know that there's that high of expectations on Matt Stafford. I disagree. I think most people understand Stafford's a very talented player who just hasn't been able to win in Detroit. And yes, maybe he can accomplish that in LA, but to me, the most pressure perhaps of anybody in the NFL is on Sean McVay. I mean, Sean was already anointed. Like, we believe that Sean McVay is this brilliant mind, this guy who can take a team and not only get them to the Super Bowl, but potentially win it. He has not done that yet with Jared Goff. If you send 2 first-round picks away and to get the quarterback and send the other quarterback that you also paid away, you better win with him. So to me, after all the first-round picks that they've spent, after all the talk, now it's on McVay. I think he knows it. I think he's capable of living up to it. But at the same time, to me, nobody in the NFL has more pressure on them than Sean McVay.
I'm in the same vein with you, Jeff. I understand what you're saying, D.O., about Matthew Stafford, but Sean McVay is the guy, and I go back even further. All of these moves that's been made in order to set the Los Angeles Rams up to win a Super Bowl, go and get Jalen Ramsey. You know, obviously, when you think about all of the future that they've given away for the now, it's Sean McVay's responsibility to get this thing done, included with bringing Matthew Stafford over. All of the guys in the NFL, to Dan's point, know Matthew Stafford. I've been a part of one of those comebacks, being up, I think, 24, and he ripped off a comeback in the game. But I do disagree with you, D.O. The player that's under the most pressure in the NFL is Carson Wentz, your ex-boot. The dude that you used to love, that you don't love no more than Baker Mayfield. But he's the guy that's under the most pressure. Matthew Stafford will ball out in Los Angeles.
Yeah, all right. First of all, we can go to a different segment, and you can have your chance to go bash the quarterback. All of a sudden, you got this floating helmet in your background and think you can get loose with your lips. I got no idea how that helmet is floating in your background. I'll put it simply like this, okay? Simply like this. If it doesn't work out for the Rams and Sean McVay gets fired, 31 other teams are going to be lining up to try to hire Sean McVay. If it doesn't work out for the Rams and they decide to move on from Matthew Stafford in 2 years, you're not going to have a ton of teams lining up for Matthew Stafford. That's why the pressure is incredibly high for him to capitalize on the opportunity now.
Well, and part of the expectations are going to be a playoff win at least, and a reminder that no quarterback in NFL history has thrown for more yards or touchdowns without a playoff win than Matthew Stafford. Hey, we're just getting started again on NFL Live, and some of the top quarterbacks have mastered the art of the hard count. Did our very own Dan Orlovsky ever learn the instrument of chaos?
When you have a cadence that we have that's not really a rhythmic cadence, and you have so many different options as far as the cadence goes, it's a really big weapon for us.
Put that down. Put that down. Show a little respect for the flying helmet.
Look at my floating helmet. Look at my floating helmet.
You messing with